saying San Antonio and OKC. Look what the Spurs doing. Beating Oklahoma City now 3 times since December 13th.
They got a lot of terrific perimeter players, man. That's what you're going to have, but you're going to beat OKC. They're the most athletic team in the league, and the Spurs are really good defensively, man.
Isaiah Hartenstein up top. It started well enough for OKC. You see him up 7.
De'Aaron Fox shot the ball exceptionally well today. Hate to say it, Ernie, but the system may be back.
The Spurs just pulled off something that should not be legal. Back-to-back Rookie of the Year winners. One is a 7'5" defensive cheat code from France. The other is a 6'6" perimeter menace who plays like he drank 3 coffees and took it personally. And together, they already look like a two-way nightmare.
Through traffic, behind the back, Butler knocked away, Wembanyama!
You know that feeling when a team has 2 guys on defense and it starts to feel unfair? Like the court shrinks, like the passing lanes disappear, like every drive comes with a regret? Yeah, that. Another lob, another big finish, and suddenly you're watching the Spurs again and thinking, wait, when did this become a problem for the entire league? Because this is not some distant projection. This is not a give it a couple of years situation. It is happening right now. But before we start, if you love basketball and you're one of the 90% who watch without subscribing, it's time to join the NBA Inside family. Click it and let's live this season together. But to understand why this feels different, you have to understand what San Antonio has always been. The Spurs do not draft like everyone else. Most franchises draft to survive the night. The Spurs draft like they are planting a tree they plan to sit under for 10 years. It sounds boring, it wins titles. And it's not an accident that their draft hits keep turning into banners. Think about the pattern. They get a pillar. They develop the pillar into a monster. Then they find value around the pillar that makes the whole thing unstoppable. It started with David Robinson, first overall, a Rookie of the Year, a Defensive Player of the Year, an MVP, 2 championships, Hall of Fame.
Give it to David Robinson on the wing. David on the baseline, guarded by Spencer, takes a long outside jump shot, 2 in a row for Dave Robinson.
Then Tim Duncan, first overall again, 5 championships, 2 MVPs, 3 finals MVPs. The Spurs' all-time leader in points, rebounds, and blocks. And here's the part people forget. San Antonio did not only win at the top of the draft, they found Tony Parker at the end of the first round. They found Manu Ginobili at 57. 57. That is basically a coupon. And those 2 turned into Hall of Famers. They turned into the Big 3. They turned into a dynasty that made the league look like it was running on a different clock. Then came Kawhi Leonard at 15, 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, Finals MVP, another title. So when people act shocked that San Antonio drafted well again, I always want to ask, where have you been? After the Duncan era ended, the Spurs went into the awkward part of the story, the part nobody romanticizes, the rebuild years. The nice young guys years. The they play hard years. Keldon Johnson, Devin Vassell, Jeremy Sohan. Good players, but not the kind that changes your whole future overnight. Then, the franchise-altering moment arrived. Victor Wembanyama, first overall, a 7'5" alien who looks like he was built in a lab that got shut down for being too dangerous. And he did exactly what generational talents are supposed to do.
Wembanyama gets it back up, fake to 3, and just demolishes the rim.
He lived up to the hype. Then he made the hype look conservative. Rookie of the Year, all defensive honors, and all-star in his 2nd season. Nicknames start flying immediately because people did not have normal words for what they were watching. He blocks shots that should be safe. He changes shots that never even leave the shooter's hands. He turns the paint into a place where guards go to rethink their life choices. And then the Spurs did it again. They moved up and drafted Stephon Castle, 4th pick, combo guard, 2-way engine, and he followed the same path. Rookie of the Year, back to back. In the modern era, that is rare. That is the kind of thing you read and assume it happened in the 70s when everyone smoked at halftime. And the moment they started sharing the court together, something clicked. You could feel it. The lobs started looking easier. The stops started looking louder, and teams started playing the Spurs with a different kind of caution. Then the nickname arrived, Area 51. Castle wears number 5. Wemby wears number 1. Put them together, and you get the most perfect branding accident in basketball. A no-fly zone. A place you don't want to wander into without a plan. And yes, the real Area 51 is linked to UFOs and weird secrets, and we will never confirm anything, which is perfect, because watching Wemby defend the rim feels like watching something the league refuses to explain.
But given to Collins, Wemby another block! Back-to-back Wemby blocks!
Now, here's where the story gets fun, because the Spurs have had great duos before, but this one is built differently. Robinson and Duncan was size and structure. Parker and Ginobili was speed and creativity. Duncan and Kawhi was control and suffocation. This duo is fear. It is fear at the rim and fear at the point of attack. It is the worst possible combination for offenses because you cannot relax anywhere. If you beat your man, you meet Wemby. If you hesitate because of Wemby, Castle is on your hip. If you try to swing the ball, the lane is already gone. And this is where I want to pull you forward with a question. What happens when a team builds a defense that does not need help? Because most defenses are systems. They rely on rotations. They rely on effort. They rely on 5 guys being connected. Area 51 is different. It is 2 guys who solve problems before the system even has to work. And that is how dynasties start. Not with highlights, with inevitability. Now, let's talk about Wemby first. Because as ridiculous as his offense is, his defense is the real story. People throw around the word unicorn like it is candy. Wemby actually earns it. Size, coordination, timing, instincts. He's not just blocking shots. He is altering entire game plans. Teams do not attack him the way they attack other centers. They probe, they fake, they throw up floaters like they're tossing coins into a fountain and hoping for luck. And it still does not work. He is one of the best rim protectors in the league already, and it is not close. The funniest part is watching players drive into the paint, see him, and immediately pivot into a pass like they saw a ghost. There should be a stat for that. Aborted layups? Regret dribbles. Nice drive? Never mind.
Advantage. Smith. Oh my! Blocked by Wemby. Blocked again by Wemby. Get it out of here!
Because his impact is not just in blocks. It is in shots that never happen. And this season, you can feel the Spurs leaning into his strengths more intelligently. Less wandering, more purpose. More actions that end at the rim. More pressure inside. More free throws. Because if you have physical tools nobody else has, why are you taking the same shots everyone else takes? And the scary part is, he is not just a drop big. He can recover. He can switch. He can bait you into thinking you have space, then cover it in one step. It is like playing chess against someone who also has longer arms than your entire team. Now, here's the twist you might not be ready for yet. And around the middle of games, when the Spurs lock in defensively, it stops looking like a rebuild. It starts looking like a trap. Like the Spurs are luring teams into thinking, oh, they are young, they will make mistakes. Then suddenly, you're down 8. You have not scored in 3 minutes, and your best scorer is yelling at the referee like it is their fault he cannot get to the rim. That is when this duo hits you with the sequence. Castle locks up. Wemby erases the bailout. Outlet, lob, dunk. And the broadcast goes quiet for half a second because everyone is processing what just happened. This is the hook, not the nickname, not the highlights. The feeling that this is turning into something real faster than people expected. And this is not theory anymore. It is not film room talk or future tense. Because this version of the Spurs already shows up in real games against real teams with something on the line. Look at what happened against the Oklahoma City Thunder. A 130-110 win that never felt rushed, never felt lucky. The San Antonio Spurs dictated the pace, stretched their streak to 7, and made a top seed play reactive basketball. Stephon Castle and Victor Wembanyama were not loud, they were steady. The kind of steady that drains confidence, the kind where the scoreboard moves, the options disappear, and by the fourth quarter, the other team looks like it is solving a problem with missing pieces. Now, let's talk about Castle. Because Castle is not a flashy defender. He is worse. He is consistent. He does not gamble. He does not reach. He does not do the thing where a young defender tries to steal the ball and ends up fouling because he is excited. He defends with his feet. He uses his chest. He moves like a sliding wall. And if you are a guard, that is exhausting. You want defenders who reach. You want defenders who lean. You want defenders who panic.
Now has the big man on him. Takes him all the way. Hey, he's got it! And one!
Castle does none of that. He makes you take contested pull-ups. He makes you pick the ball up. He makes you give it up earlier than you wanted. Then he hands you off to Wemby behind him like, good luck. Offensively, he has taken a real jump too. More scoring, more rim pressure, more playmaking, more trips to the free throw line. And yes, the turnovers exist. That is part of the rookie to sophomore transition. He tries reads most players his age do not even attempt. Some of them look genius. Some of them look like you forgot the defender also exists. That will clean up. The real swing skill is the jumper. If Castle ever becomes even a league average three-point shooter, defenses cannot sag off him. And if defenses cannot sag off him, Wemby gets cleaner lanes, cleaner seals, cleaner finishes. And then it gets ugly. Because what do? Double Wemby and give Castle a runway? Stay home and let Wemby work one-on-one? Switch and get Castle downhill on a smaller guard? Pick your poison, and then pick it again for 48 minutes. That is what makes this duo scary. It is not one matchup problem. It is a chain of matchup problems. Now, stack the context. The Spurs are not doing this with a perfect roster. They are doing it while still rebuilding. And it gets even more dangerous because help is coming. De'Aaron Fox is in the mix. Dylan Harper is in the mix. More downhill pressure, more creation, more pace. Which means Castle does not have to carry every possession. He can pick his spots. He can close games. He can do what the Spurs actually want him to do. Be the guy who turns the other team's best guard into a tired guard. And when you pair that with Wemby, you get the real Area 51 effect. The Spurs finished with a bottom-tier defense not long ago. Now, when both Wemby and Castle are on the floor and locked in, they look like a top defense. And that is the part that flips the whole narrative.
How about this pace? Castle throw it up for Wemby.
A rebuilding team with an elite defense is not normal. That is usually the last thing that shows up. Young teams usually score first and defend later. They usually run. They usually make mistakes. They usually have fun losses. The Spurs are starting to win ugly possessions. That is the sign. Now, we have to address the obvious question. Are we watching the foundation of the next Spurs dynasty? Or are we getting ahead of ourselves because the highlights are too good? Here is my answer. It is real. But the next step is the hardest one, because the league adjusts. Teams will pull Wemby away from the rim. They will attack Castle with screens. They will force communication mistakes. They will try to turn this into a math problem. And this is where San Antonio's history matters. The Spurs do not panic. They do not chase trends. They do not build for one season. They build for the moment where opponents run out of answers. And that is why I keep coming back to this. Back-to-back Rookie of the Year winners is not the headline. The headline is what comes after. Chemistry, reps, film, communication. The little reads that make two great defenders become one connected defense. Because when those details lock in, it stops being two great rookies. It becomes an identity. And the league hates identity. The league can game plan a player. The league struggles with a system powered by two monsters who actually enjoy defense. So let me end with this. When you watch the Spurs, do you feel it too? The moment where you realize teams are starting to play them differently. The moment where the crowd gets loud on a stop, not a dunk. The moment where the other team stops driving and starts settling. Because if you do, you are not imagining it. Area 51 is not a meme anymore. It is a warning. So, what do you think? Is this already the best young defensive duo in basketball? Or do you need to see a playoff series before you buy in? And if Castle's jumper becomes respectable, what is the ceiling for this team? Because I will be honest, I do not think the Spurs are rebuilding anymore. I think they are reloading, and the rest of the league just got a problem it cannot ignore.